Hello anybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and in the last episode, we opened up the entrance to an entirely new world, which can be seen right here, Mad Monster Mansion. And in today's episode, after getting that Mumbo token, we're going to be plunging back down into the water and heading back down to the location of this 7th world, Mad Monster Mansion. So as I was saying in the last episode, when you get to the final 3 worlds of the game, because we are starting the final set, they kind of space the portraits pretty far away from the worlds, if I remember correctly. And this is especially true with the last world, but for now, we're going to have to swim back down to the location of the world that we just unlocked. And that's actually pretty far, all things considered. And just as a reminder, you do need to do this next world in order to unlock the final areas of the game. In the 8th world and the 9th world, you do need to do it. And this will be apparent as soon as we get through this world, but we are not quite there just yet. Now you might be wondering why I didn't just start the video at the entrance to this new world, and that's, oh, how bright they are, your stupid shots! A target for my dumb cohorts! Yes, that's brilliant, Grunty. Now you might be wondering why I didn't start here, because we have to actually go through the lava place past the portrait to Gobi's Valley in order to get to the next world. And that is because I just wanted a little bit of consistency in the videos, and also because I guess I didn't think about it that fully through if we want to be more accurate. Anyway, now that we've come across this lava path, you might have noticed there are giant leering red eyes, and actually some of the biggest in the game, and this kind of signifies how dangerous this area is going to be. And here we come to possibly my favorite world in the game, my favorite world for the aesthetics anyway, and actually we're not in there quite yet, so I might be just kind of saying this a little bit too early, but before you go into the world, you actually want to come over here, and this is actually relevant, this will be very important. You want to come over here, to this gate, and break it down. We're not going to go down there, we just want to break that, because that is setting up for something we need to do a little bit later, and it's kind of a jerk placement of an obstacle that you couldn't possibly know about your first time playing. Oh well. Welcome to Mad Monster Mansion. The 7th world in the game and the haunted world in the game, and for that reason it is probably my favorite world in the game, because haunted levels, if you know me, are my favorite archetype. I love ghost houses, I love haunted areas, I love spooky things. I love spooks and spook ghosts. I think they're absolutely amazing. So, the big centerpiece for this world, as you may have guessed, is Mad Monster Mansion itself. This giant building, and it's not going to be just the house though. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff around the house, and I'm going to be just going around the outer perimeter. Now, you may have noticed at the start when I broke open a window that, I was able to break open a window. Well, the windows that have lights coming out through them, you can go in them. And we're actually going to start with the bottom of the house. As soon as we get this bat. There we go. Also, Mad Monster Mansion, one of my favorite tracks in the game. So as soon as we start our world, we are going to be going into the basement. These 2 guests are rather dumb. Let's make sure they're unwelcome. So this is one of the few instances in which Grunty... Oh hey, it's our first Jiggy! How about that? That was really fast, actually. So this is one of the few instances in which Grunty will taunt you directly in a world. She's done it a few times before, like way back in Treasure Trove Cove when you took a specific Jiggy. But what makes it special in this world is I've always really... Mad Monster Mansion has really resonated with me. And because Gruntilda's a witch, I feel it really works with her thematically. So Mad Monster Mansion, as will be seen with portraits of her and her family and stuff like that, the implication is basically that she owns this mansion, and that I like to think of it as like some kind of a summer home. Anyway, if we come into this barrel here, Triumphant Music suggests that there was a stop and swap egg in here, but it's gone now. That would have been a green egg, and normally that barrel is sealed unless you own both copies of the game on the XBLA or use a cheat code, blah 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 blah. So, I really like Mad Monster Mansion, as I was saying. I like to think of it as a summer home for Gruntilda or something. It's very well-themed. It's an extremely well-themed world, and what you want to do actually is, you'll notice I broke down a gate. You want to do that fairly consistently throughout this world, because you might notice that there is a Mumbo Skull and there is a transformation that won't be able to get through those doors normally. It will need your help as Banjo in the Banjo-Kazooie form. Also, a recurring theme in this world, if you were paying attention to the cellar, you will have noticed I killed a ghost with the Wonder Wing ability, and that is because most of the enemies in this world, save like the bats, are invincible. I mean, they have the dry bones rule of you can kill them, but they will get back up. And the ghosts themselves are immune to pretty much any damage, and you can't attack them or they'll just do damage to you. The exception to this is the Wonder Wing, which explodes them permanently, and I really like that invincibility kills these enemies, but of course, you need to conserve your golden feathers because you only have so many. Anyway, we come to this spooky shack, which is outside Mad Monster Mansion, get these notes, and again, this very weird building where there's the faces of them. Greetings, O Solid One. I'm Tumblar the Mighty. Solve the puzzle, and you can take this infernal thing that's stuck under me. So, the puzzle is about the same as any other puzzle with letters in this game, in that you have to spell out Banjo-Kazooie. It's kind of glorious. Of course, during the duration of this, there will be this purple teehee, and that's what these ghosts are called. They're called teehees. Will be flying around the arena and threatening to damage you if you touch it, and it will knock you off, Tumblar, and you will have to get back on. Time is actually fairly strict in this challenge, and while you can do the trick of getting off and using Wonder Wing in order to kill this ghost, he will actually respawn and kill you. I mean, he won't kill you, but he will respawn, so all things considered, it's a pretty big waste of time. You're just wasting your time, and you don't want to do that. I think the other O is over here somewhere. Yes, it is. This is a lot harder than the sandcastle floor puzzle because you have less time, and you can't always see stuff on the other side of the thing, and I got hurt. And we're going to jump back up on here. Realistically, you should save the O's on this side for the Kazooie, but now that we spelled it, at last the puzzle is solved. Take this thing. I'm leaving this gloomy shed. So, was that supposed to be like a Ouija board? What the hell is this room? And again, picture of Banjo-Kazooie in Mad Monster Mansion. Gotta spell their name out. Really weird. And there's that honeycomb piece that we got before for killing these guys. Also, they don't drop honeycomb pieces unless you perma-kill them. So that's interesting. It's an interesting take on the respawning enemies because Banjo-Tooie, I said I was going to stop talking about Banjo-Tooie, but it is a relevant point of comparison. But Banjo-Tooie just has outright respawning enemies that respawn fairly frequently, and I'm not really a fan of that, to be honest. I don't think it works so well. Anyway, there's some boots over here. There's not many boots left in the game, but since they're here, I may as well get them. But yeah, it's an interesting take on the game, how the next game just respawns enemies at a really rapid pace, so it doesn't feel like you make much progress against them. Whereas this game does have these respawning skeletons and such, but those don't really count. Anyway, you don't really use the boots for anything, because you can't jump up to the ledges that have the stuff on them. So instead, we have to manually jump to them, like so. And you might be wondering what's in this well, and the answer is I'm not going to go in there yet. I'm actually going to save that for a little bit later, and not going to do that right now. I'm teasing you, and I don't care. You can't stop me, and I need to get out of this murky swamp water that hurts. Environmental hazards! So what you want to do here is actually jump over this dude and get this Jinjo, but actually you want to jump down here and get Ikambokum that's in there. I call it an Ikambokum. I think you have to take damage by going in that water because your Wonder Wing will wear off and then you will have to fall in the water. But it's for a Mumbo token, so it's worth 1 point of damage, especially if you just do that. And problem solved. Now next on our quest, I think... Wait, what's in here? Mumbo token! We're not going to be going back into the house yet. We are going to actually be going somewhere else, and we're going to be using some running shoes. The only running shoes in this level. What we need to do is, do we have to ground pound this? Yes, we do. So we hit this button, spooky music. A door opens to the cathedral, and we get a rendition of Mad Monster Mansion that we can't actually hear while we have the running shoes on, but you get a rendition of Mad Monster Mansion that has a bell with it. It actually sounds really cool, but you almost never hear it in the game, so it's actually worth looking up. Thank you to Smog Wastikin for telling me about that. Smog Swastikin? whatever. You know your name, it's close enough. But yeah, it's a really cool rendition of the theme with the church bells, and actually I really like this part of the level. I mean, it's a little annoying to get around because oh my god. These ghosts are worth using a gold feather on because they will harass you, but the scale of this chapel is enormous. Like, Mad Monster Mansion is big, but this chapel is just huge, and I actually really like it. I like it thematically because for a family-friendly, for an E-rated title, usually platformers wouldn't have anything resembling a church, but this, even though there's no crosses or no overt religious symbolism, there's the pews, there's the giant organ, there's the stained glass windows. It's a very, very Christian-influenced chapel, and the music it oozes atmosphere, and I think this part is really well done. And I think chapels, what is it about chapels that make them perfect for hauntings? Is it because of the spirituality that is associated with them? Let me check my health. I'm gonna go and get these bees. Oh, spider webs. Thankfully, there are no spiders in this game. I'm afraid of spiders, and if these bees chase you, you can actually put on your Wonder Wing, and then they will all kind of kill yourself on your shield. It's kind of hilarious, but you shouldn't normally do that because that does eat up a lot of golden feathers. So I actually have to advise against doing that. So yeah, but take it as you will, do it as you will. I am not the boss of you, although I am the best in the world. Nah, I'm just joking, I'm not that vain. Or am I? This is worthless commentary. Anyway, you come up here on this organ and they have a giant spooky hen. Modsand plays his organ with ease, but can you follow him on the keys? I think... So here we come to one of the easiest jiggies in the game, and it's very unusual. He's gonna play a tune on the piano, and all you have to do is hit the keys that he hits. I think they wanted this to sort of be like a game of memory, like with the Tip Top Choir in Bubble Gloop Swamp, but in the end, you don't have to wait for him to complete his song. In fact, it's much better. You have no reason not to just hit the keys after he does, and if you press the wrong key, you take damage, but then you don't have to start the thing over. Not bad, bear, but now watch me copy this tune and amazed I'll be. Actually, Mozart is not English. That's all wrong. But he's Motsand, that's... Ow! Also, this is another area with a difference between the XBLA, the Xbox Live version of the game, and the N64 version of the game. If you're listening closely, you might notice that every key on this organ has the same tone. It plays the same note. I don't know why, but this doesn't happen in the N64 version of the game. Every key is a different note in the N64 version of the game, but in this version of the game, they're all the same sound, and I have no idea how they messed that one up, or why they messed that one up. I don't know if it was intentional, but it seems really weird to be the sort of thing that was just kind of glitched, because I don't know much about porting games. After that tedium, your music skills are mighty fine, so take this golden piece of mine. There are also a fair number of rhyming characters in this level, by which I mean 2. I think it's 2. There might be 3, but Motsand and somebody else, they rhyme, and I like that the fantastical, I don't know if fantastical is the right word, but just the whole rhyming schematic is associated with Gruntilda, and then this place, that's very likely to be a home for her, has other spirits and creatures that also bring on the rhyming thing. And again, with the whole haunted world works well with Gruntilda as a witch theme, it just works with her aesthetically. This is something that not all the other worlds have, like Mumbo's Mountain and Treasure Trove Cove, and I mean, certain worlds like Clanker's Cavern are assumed to be like a part of the castle because that's basically that's the sewer for Gruntilda's lair. Also, now that we're over here, we don't want to hit that witch switch just yet, but yeah, we actually want to get that thing, the honeycomb piece. But yeah, not all the worlds mesh so well. I mean, I would assume that the world entrances are some kind of like magic gates to these faraway worlds, like Gobi's Valley or Bubble Gloop Swamp, but not all of them are so heavily associated or make sense in being associated with Gruntilda's lair. But Mad Monster Mansion is probably the best world for that, and just, it works the most thematically, and it fits the most with Gruntilda as a character. And we also, before we want to go down, we want to get this. But as you see, as you might have noticed, as a result of getting that witch switch, we are now stuck up here and have to get down. And it's actually very dangerous. The safest way is to jump down and try to land on top of this organ, like so. And we survived, so good on us. We've now effectively cleared out the... what do you call it? Chapel. We also fell and hurt ourselves, as per usual. Let me just check my totals real quick. 3 jiggies, 37, so we're about a third of the way through. I'm going to do a little bit more in this episode, and then I think I'm going to call it. But that clears out the chapel, which is the biggest room in the game. I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to finish up the chapel area, and that'll be the episode. It doesn't take too long. The chapel area has about 3 jiggies associated with it, and that was one of them. And the door closes on its way out, so if you want to go back in, you actually do have to press the button again and get the running shoes. Anyway, listen closely as I hit poop an egg into this vase. Come on. That is Grant Kirkhope going, oh, these enemies are called Rippers, and they actually are quite tough. They take 2 Rat-a-tats, and they're one of the toughest enemies in the game, which is to be expected for an animate tombstone. But, yeah. These pots are Grant Kirkhope. That's his voice. Kind of, you know, shifted down. We can just... Now, you can probably figure out that he's saying thank you, but it was actually very controversial when they were making this game because they kept thinking that he was saying something else, and they kept asking him to re-record it, and to really emphasize the part. So it didn't sound like he was saying, well, like he was saying, fuck you. But of course he's not going to say that, and that's probably one of the few times I'm ever going to swear in my own LPs unless I get really loose with it, but you know. Anyway, you go and put an egg in all of these pots and get a jiggy. That's just an interesting little bit of lore behind the development of this game, but yeah, Nintendo was very iffy about putting that in, and they needed so many re-recordings with just emphasis on the Anyway, this is a secret area. If you jump in the stained glass window with Banjo-Kazooie, new enemy, which is kind of a re-enemy from Clanker's Cavern. These are portrait chompas, which are undead and explode. One of the few enemies in this level that can actually be exploded. This room is actually great for restocking on supplies if you need some of them. Not that we'll really be flying in this world because we've already done the flying portion in the chapel, but it is nice for the eggs and also for the golden feathers. Golden feathers are extremely useful in this world if you haven't noticed yet, and I actually really like that because the golden, Wonder Wing isn't always necessarily super useful. But in this world, it's practically a necessity for certain enemies and areas, specifically wherever there's ghosts. Anyway, the shingles on this chapel are extremely slippery, as you may have noticed, and this is actually not going to be super tough. Once you get up here, you just immediately want to go into Talon Trot and start walking around like so. And that gets us up to 47. Now, there is actually a glitch associated with this world that prevents you from getting, only in the Xbox Live version of the game, by the way, that prevents you from getting all the notes in this world, but I'll cover that a little bit later when I show off one of the secret areas in this game. But that's just something you should know. So all I'll say is, if you want to collect all the notes and you're playing the Xbox Live arcade version of the game, don't go back to Banjo's house and play the minigame there until you've gotten all the notes in this world. Just something to keep in mind. Anyway, we've reached the high point on this level, and with that, we got ourselves a Jiggy. That is Jiggy number 5, and we are halfway through this world. But I think that will be adequate for this level. I mean, not for this level, but for this recording. So, if you want to see the last 5 Jiggies of Mad Monster Mansion as we explore the maze and then the rest of the house, then I just hope to see somebody in the next one. Especially you. Bye-bye.